going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Spill the Tea. By the title of this, you can tell there's something that I wanted to talk about that kind of hit me pretty deeply recently. It's something that I've been saying my entire life, and people, kind of hated me for it. A lot of people would always say things like, why can't you just be happy with where you're at? Not everything has to be this deep. And look how far you came. What more do you want out of life? And for a long time, I started to believe maybe something was actually wrong with me. Maybe there was something wrong with, the way I was treating life or the things that I was thinking. But, what I started to finally realize, wanting more was never actually the problem. There's a quiet lie that gets passed around and it gets dressed up as wisdom, and it sounds incredibly mature. It sounds like, very grounded advice. It even sounds a little spiritual in sense, and it kind of goes a little something like this. Just be grateful, don't rock the boat. Why can't this be enough? And what people were really warning against wasn't wanting more, it was wanting more without the gratitude. And here's the part that they missed about me. I am eternally grateful every single day of my life. To make it to where I am, given the circumstances that life has dealt me, I am filled with endless gratitude. If people knew the true me and the true story of me, then they would understand how grateful I truly am and blessed I am to be in the positions that I am. Not only with, jobs, life, career, my children, my beautiful dog who's actually coming into the room right now. I'm internally grateful for everything that has ever been given to me, even the hardships of life. I've learned a lot in those. And so the thing is I was never ungrateful, just parts of me were a little unfinished. And there's a massive difference between those two. Gratitude is about honoring what is. And, growth is about responding to what calls, what your heart is calling to. What you feel compelled to do. Those two things are not opposites, they're supposed to coexist. But stagnation gets dressed up as a virtue all the time. That stagnation and that comfortability. People will often tell you, and just like they told me, be grateful. Stop rocking the boat, and why can't this just be enough for you? Meanwhile, life itself doesn't stagnate. Everything alive expands. It explores, it experiments, it reaches. Trees, for example, they don't apologize for growing even taller. Rivers don't feel guilty for moving forward. And children don't stop learning because they already know how to walk. So why would a conscious adult be expected to? Here's a small part that took me years to finally be able to understand and be able to actually articulate. When people told me, why does it always have to be more and more and more with you? Your hunger, what they were really trying to actually say, without realizing it, was your hunger for life in general, for the thirst of knowledge, for the quench of being able to live a fully fulfilling life. What they were subconsciously telling me is that your hunger kind of makes me a little uncomfortable. They weren't on the same page as me. They weren't on, I don't want to say level because that makes it seem like you're above them, and no one is above anyone. It's just that they weren't on the same page of life with me. They weren't aligned to my values and my virtues. And because that hunger that lives inside me exposes certain fear in people who have learned to just settle, who've learned to just accept life for what life is. And that curiosity threatens those who choose safety or to feel alive. My ambition mirrors the dreams, that they kind of buried to survive. So I wasn't rejecting what I had. I was just trying to honor it by building even more on top of what I already had. And this part kind of mattered even more when children are watching, especially for me, especially with two young daughters. My daughters don't need a parent who only survives. They don't need me to shrink myself so other people feel comfortable. My value in my job, and this is just my own belief and my own insight, my job as a father, as a parent, is to give them the life that I never had, to set themselves up for future growth, for future expansion in life, so that way they don't have to go through or witness the struggles that I had to endure in order to survive and pull themselves out of it. It's my job to set them up for success, but also it's my job to set myself up for success. And so what I believe that they need to see is you can be grateful and ambitious, you can be content and curious and grounded and still reaching for the stars. You know, and these are some lessons that they need to learn early in life, that you don't have to choose between appreciation and evolution. Because if I teach them what wanting more is selfish, then I'm basically teaching them to abandon their own callings, their own heart, themselves. I'm teaching them to abandon themselves. And so my whole life I was never chasing more to escape my life. I was moving forward and toward more to deepen my life, to deepen my roots, to deepen and strengthen that foundation that I was building. And that's not my ego that's taking over, that's a part of stewardship. And the reason this finally feels clear now is because I'm no longer defensive about it. I used to argue with people and defend myself on those grounds. And so I'm not angry at the people who didn't fully understand me. I don't need to convince them anymore. And so I can say this calmly now, that you can grow without abandoning your values. You can want more out of life and more out of yourself and more out of the people that are around you without becoming hollow. And you can keep expanding without burning everything else behind you. That's not arrogance. This is just wisdom earned the hard way. I'm hoping that some of these topics kind of resonate and hit for you guys. And I want you to understand that you guys are not broken. You're responding to something that's more deeper, more real inside of you. And if you've ever been told that you're too much simply because you refuse to stagnate, you know, this channel is specifically for you. If you would like to keep going deeper into, you know, why I make these videos and do what I do and about my life and everything, I have made a book which actually will be out for distribution in the next couple of days. I should receive the actual physical copies and I will start showing it, and I will put the link in the description when they actually are out for distribution. That book is called A Child Called Home. I've also made small, like a little resource link below on Gumroad, and that guide is called, you know, Found It at the Right Time. And also, I want you guys to remember, you know, wanting more doesn't mean that you don't appreciate what you have. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.